When Kim Jong-un arrived in Beijing with a military escort worth $1 billion, even Vladimir Putin, a man surrounded by power, was reportedly stunned into silence. From armored trains lined with gold to convoys that resembled moving fortresses more than simple motorcades. This was more than a visit, it was a warning. Stay until the end because what happened inside that moving fortress shows how Kim's empire is now defined by fear and loyalty. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always be updated with videos like this. The spectacle, Stan Putin, P-U-T-I-N. In September 2025, Beijing witnessed a scene that was truly unusual in modern diplomacy. When Kim Jong-un's armored train arrived in the capital of China, it was not just an official visit. It was a statement forged in steel and gold. A $10 billion military escort spanned miles of highways and airspace for this arrival. Dozens and dozens of fighter jets roared overhead, while convoys of armored vehicles and missile carriers lined the roads in perfect formation. The coordination was so tight that traffic in the center of Beijing was stopped for almost an hour, turning the world's most populous capital into a silent stage for the arrival of one person. Even seasoned leaders were truly stunned, and Vladimir Putin, who was in Beijing for regional talks, was reportedly amazed at the scale of the operation. The Russian leader himself, who is used to lavish state displays, called the escort more than military logic, a statement that quickly spread in diplomatic circles. This is more than theater. It's intimidation disguised as spectacle. Kim did not come to negotiate. He came to remind the world that isolation does not mean insignificance. The estimated $1 billion spent on this demonstration is not just for show. Every piece of machinery carries a message. The mechanized divisions with him are recently upgraded artillery systems. The fighter jets above bear the marks of recent modernization, a deliberate visual cue for both allies and enemies. Even the motorcade that carried his security staff was made up of imported Mercedes-Maybach guard vehicles, each costing $0.8 million and retrofitted with a North Korean-made defense system. For China, this event is a logistical nightmare disguised as cooperation. Districts closed, telecoms controlled, and foreign media monitored. But for Kim, this commotion is actually the very goal itself. Every camera flash, every synchronized salute reinforces the image of a leader who is not just traveling with an entourage, but with an entire army. At that moment, Beijing isn't hosting a visitor, but a message. Kim made diplomacy and power theatrical performances. The world did not see the leader of an isolated country, but the conductor of a $1 billion symphony of fear and a grand spectacle. Fortress on rails, Apalas in motion. Kim Jong-un's armored train is more than transportation. It's its own kingdom. It's officially called a mobile command center. To insiders, it's the world's slowest fortress. Traveling through China at a steady 7 miles per hour, the 20-car convoy moves with precise coordination. Each part serves a distinct purpose. One is for intercepting communication, another is for military command, one is for fine dining, and some are for quarters and armed personnel. Its thick steel and bulletproof glass are almost impervious to modern weapons. At the same time, there's also a parallel decoy train, identical in color and structure, running several miles away so that no one knows the true location of the leader. Inside, the contrast between luxury and paranoia is truly striking. Each carriage is decorated with gold leaf and even lined with imported Italian leather. The main conference suite, equipped with a $0.2 million encrypted communication system, allows for real-time coordination with the military headquarters in Pyongyang. The dining car looks like a 5-star restaurant, with chefs from North Korea's top culinary academies serving fresh lobster, Wagyu beef, and burdock swine, and each bottle costs $3,000. Kim's personalized study, located in the third carriage, features a custom-engraved laptop with a gold keyboard, a symbolic yet functional tool for a leader on the move. The security surrounding the train is just as complex as the vehicle itself. At every border checkpoint, there's a radar unit, an anti-drone system, and military helicopters patrolling the skies. Tracks are cleared hours before the train arrives, with armed guards posted every half mile. The communication signals near the route are jammed to prevent tracking or interference. Even the train's air filtration system is designed to counter chemical or biological attacks, a reflection of Kim's fear that danger could come unseen. The train isn't just transportation, it's a theater, a moving symbol of permanence and power. It projects the image of a leader who is not bound by geography, a leader who can govern while on the move, dine like royalty in the midst of armor, and negotiate behind sealed glass. Every metallic sound sends a message to the world. Flexibility and control aren't opposites. They're tools of leadership. Meanwhile, hundreds, however, have a purpose moving toward Beijing. The rhythm of the train is not just a journey. It is like choreography, a performance where every mile strengthens its image as an unshakable omnipresence. Dynamic theater, the rise of Kim Jong-un. Hey! Amidst the armored convoys and precisely choreographed salutes, a quiet figure drew more attention than any general in the entourage, Kim Jong-un. His daughter, Kim Jua. She was in Beijing on purpose. It was planned, precise, and scripted for a political announcement that was simply disguised as a family gathering. When she stepped off the train with her father, cameras captured an image that would outlast the summit. A young girl standing in the shadow of the world's most secretive and closed-off regime. She was seen not only as a daughter, but as the symbol of the new era. Ju-a, who is estimated to be around 11 years old, was wearing a navy coat with silver buttons and patterned shoes made by a luxury South Korean designer. It was reportedly smuggled through diplomatic channels and is estimated to cost over $3,000 per pair. Her outfit alone already carries a clear message. After a few hours, the North Korean state described her as the shining future of the republic, a phrase never used for Kim's other children. This broadcast was also repeated in China, Russia, and some Asian networks. In an instant, her image became the face of the next Kim dynasty era. A broad strategy underlies this planned debut. According to intelligence analysts themselves, Kim Ju-a's inclusion in the event is the first time she combined dynastic imagery and international diplomacy, turning the succession into a rehearsal for a state visit. This resembles the tradition of hereditary monarchies, but with a modern form, a theater of power that was broadcast live. Every gesture was deliberate. The way she stood, half a step behind her father, the careful smile as she greeted Chinese officials, her gaze during the military parade. It was as if she was absorbing the feeling of leadership. Within diplomatic circles, there were whispers that Beijing's reception protocol was slightly adjusted to accommodate her. A private suite at the Itayotai State Guest House was decorated with ivory furnishings and a silk banner bearing a Chinese character that means continuity and prosperity. It is estimated that the preparations cost around $200,000, further strengthening the belief that her presence was not merely symbolic, but institutional. On the last day of the visit, more official photos were taken of Jua than of any other North Korean minister. Her movements appeared calm, controlled, and nearly regal to foreigners. The message was clear. Kim Jong-un visited Beijing not just to strengthen alliances, but also to introduce his chosen successor. In a regime built on secrecy, the biggest revelation did not come from policy, but from the heir who quietly stepped into the light. The invisible shield, biological defense and control. Wherever the president of North Korea travels, a silent army follows, equipped not with guns, but with gloves, filters, and ultraviolet scanners. This is the biological defense unit, and it has only one mission: to make sure nothing is left behind, no fingerprints, no strands of hair, not even a drop of sweat, when the leader leaves. The moment Kim leaves a room, an operation begins that looks more like a high-containment laboratory scene than a simple diplomatic cleanup. Within seconds, a dozen technicians in smart suits secure the area. They set up a portable air filtration tent and begin a process that costs around $1,000 per minute. The tables are sprayed with a sterilizing compound used by forensic teams. Every surface is examined using handheld ultraviolet analyzers that can detect organic residue down to the microscopic level. The used glasses, chapstick, and even cigarette butts are placed in the titanium condenser. Then, they are sent back to Pyongyang for controlled destruction. A former aide says the real purpose is secrecy, not cleanliness. Every trace of Kim's biological data, from saliva to skin cells, is considered a national security asset. This obsession comes from fear and total control. Analysts believe that Kim fears foreign agencies might obtain his DNA from items he has left behind. Information that could expose his health weaknesses or their sources. The biological team's equipment is usually smuggled in as civilian medical equipment from European suppliers and includes portable genome scanners worth over $1 million. This isn't for research, but to ensure no genetic material remains. Even the air filters are replaced after every event, stored in sealed crates, and disposed of at an undisclosed facility. During his visit to Beijing in 2025, witnesses described how, just minutes after the train doors closed, a convoy of unmarked vans entered the meeting site. Inside, North Korean technicians and a Chinese security officer oversaw the hall's full sterilization. This process took almost 40 minutes, causing a delay in the arrival of the next delegation, which sparked rumors about an unseen ritual. For outsiders, this seemed excessive, but for Kim, it was standard protocol. The deeper meaning is in the symbolism. This cleansing ritual protects more than just the leader. It also helps make fear procedural, turns privacy into performance, and solidifies power down to the molecular level. The Supreme Guard Command, loyalty engineered through luxury. Guarding Kim Jong-un is more than a job, it's a lifelong act. The Supreme Guard Command, with nearly 100,000 soldiers, protects both the person and his surrounding mythology at the core of this machine. Their duty exceeds standard security. They choreograph the entire ecosystem of loyalty, surveillance, and the grand spectacle where every precise movement equals devotion. And even the slightest hesitation can lead to the loss of a career or worse. Each operative is selected through years of background checks, with their families traced back 3 generations to ensure there are no political blemishes or traces of sympathy for other countries. Those who pass are rewarded with privileges that few North Koreans ever know. They live in walled compounds outside Pyongyang with gyms, imported electronics, and a monthly stipend higher than the country's average salary. Their uniforms, tailored tactical suits with Kevlar fiber, are worth a fortune. The weapons are custom issue. Many are brought in using fake manifests, Swiss-made optics, modified Russian sidearms, and an encrypted communication system developed in cooperation with Chinese defense suppliers. But what truly sets the Supreme Guard Command apart is not its size or equipment, but its choreography. Every public appearance in the game is pre-scripted down to the angle of each guard's step. The outer rings blend seamlessly with the crowd, while the inner circle forms the core. This is a wall that follows his every move. When he walks, 50 men pivot simultaneously, forming a diamond-shaped perimeter that flexes as he turns or greets a guest. The formation resembles a ritual more than a simple security maneuver, a moving symbol of authority refined over decades in government buildings. The Supreme Guard Command controls all corridors, and surveillance teams monitor the general, the minister, and foreign visitors. Loyalty is reinforced through lavish gifts, imported watches, cars worth over $100,000. Everything reminds us that privilege relies on closeness to the leader. A defector described the system as a golden cage. Beautiful inside, dangerous outside. At the 2025 Beijing summit, the unit carried out theater-level precision military operations. Each movement, salute, and glance is rehearsed to create the illusion of perfect unity. But behind the discipline lies a darker truth. Their goal is not only to protect King from enemies, but also to protect him from his own empire. Subterranean Empire, a palace below the nation. Beneath the country, palaces are concealed. Under Pyongyang's mountains and the rugged eastern coast lies an unseen kingdom. While the surface of North Korea displays austerity and military discipline, the underground is a different world. a place made for comfort, safety, and absolute control. These bunkers are not called world relics. They are architectural masterpieces, designed to support Kim and his elite for months even after a nuclear conflict. Satellite analysts have identified at least 12 major complexes. Each one is connected to a secret rail line and tunnel system that stretches for miles. The entrances are disguised as warehouses or power stations, but inside you'll find vast chambers that look like royal hotels. Italian marble floors, French crystal chandeliers, and European oil paintings adorn the rooms that serve as living quarters and command centers. One of the largest sites, believed to be under Mount Miaoyang, is estimated to have cost $150 million to complete. It includes a climate-controlled vault, cinema, and underground conference hall for 500 people. Each facility is designed for luxury, yet concealed as a necessity. The ventilation system delivers purified, spa-grade air through ionized filters, while the hydroponic gardens produce fresh vegetables in complete isolation. An underground suite even has an indoor swimming pool decorated with gold mosaic tiles, estimated to be worth $1 million, along with a sauna complex that can rival luxury resorts in Dubai. These aren't just shelters, they're strongholds where comfort meets command. Access to this facility is strictly hierarchical. Only the highest members of the Workers' Party's Central Committee and the Supreme Guard Command know the full coordinates. Each official has an assigned coded elevator route so that no one knows the full layout. Supplies, imported wines, fine linens, and medical equipment are rotated every 3 months through an encrypted logistics chain managed by state couriers. Even the food storage has a pressure shield bolt to protect against chemical contamination. For Kim, these underground fortresses are more than just security. It's symbolism. It demonstrates permanence, a dynasty made to endure war, sanctions, and time itself. But their silence also reveals a contradiction. The higher its protective walls, the deeper its isolation. Millions avoid deprivation, but North Korea's real kingdom lies hidden underground, beneath fear, tears, and control. Diplomacy under lockdown when security becomes isolation. For most world leaders, diplomacy begins with a handshake, but for Kim Jong-un, it begins with sterilization. Every foreign meeting he attends is like a controlled experiment. They follow rules that separate security, protocol, and psychological terror. When he arrived in Beijing in 2025 for the summit, the preparations for a simple greeting between the delegations took almost no time at all. The room chosen for the meeting had its carpet replaced, was repainted using a sterilizing agent, and was refitted with an air filtration unit that cost around $100,000. Even the furniture was replaced a few days before the arrival, sent from Fuyang after being masked for chemical residue. A few moments before Kim entered, technicians in protective gear conducted a final sweep. The tables were polished, the windows were closed, and the air was sprayed with vaporized, neutralizing mist. Off camera, the Chinese officials watched closely, both curious and puzzled. The handshake lasted under 10 seconds, but was the year's most expensive greeting. Every second felt like a layer of caution. Biometric screening, double airlock, and a final command from Kim's inner security ring, known as Pace Zero. Analysts described Kim's engagement as a theater of distance, where even allies remain at a distance, both literally and politically. At the Beijing meeting, behind the scenes, technicians came out to clean the hall after his departure, collecting disposable cups, gloves, and napkins for controlled disposal. This video really went viral on social media, watched by over 1 million people within 24 hours. The purpose, as proof of discipline, became a symbol of isolation, a glimpse of how deep the fear combined with governance in Pyongyang. Behind the perfection of these encounters lies irony. The same precautions that protect him also imprison him. Every diplomatic room becomes a quarantine zone, every conversation a risk assessment. While world leaders navigate alliances through dialogue and unpredictability, Kim Jong-un navigates with sterile precision. The result is a paradox: a ruler with absolute authority, yet negotiating from behind invisible glass, confined within the boundaries of his own security. The cost of control and willpower. Running the North Korean security machine is one of the most expensive operations in the world, and it exists almost exclusively to protect one person. According to analysts, millions of dollars are spent every day to maintain the layers of protection around Kim, from armored convoys to biological defense teams. The cost of this network is estimated to exceed the entire defense budget of smaller countries like Laos or Mongolia. But for the North Korean elite, this spending is untouchable, a sacred budget designed to maintain power rather than development. Within the regime, money doesn't go through ministries but through loyalty pipelines. All branches of the Supreme Guard Command, including transport and communication, get direct funding from the Central Committee. The imported surveillance system from Europe, luxury armored vehicles from Germany, and encrypted satellite lines from Chinese vendors drive the annual expenses. What was he again? Big, overall, powerful in the country that first obtained it? I wonder if there is any in the place we asked about. Where will you choose where it's big? What is the amount in dollars taken from people that can't be seen here? The government calls this strategic security expenditure. Economists, on the other hand, call it the greatest display of fear ever staged in history. And despite this imbalance, this describes Kim's leadership, a regime where the illusion of strength eats away at the very foundation of power. In this context, power is not measured by influence, but by isolation, by how much a leader is willing to spend to keep the world at bay.